Title: I've lived alone in my childhood home for 3 years. Last week, the house started acting like my parents were still here. Posted by u/hollowhouse19. Flair, true story. Time: 4 hours ago. Update 1. The routine. I'm writing this because the police didn't find anything. They did a walkthrough, shined their flashlights in the corners, told me to lay off the energy drinks, and left. They think I'm having a breakdown. Maybe I am, but a breakdown doesn't leave wet, gray handprints on the inside of a locked attic door. I'm 19. I've lived at 42 Willow Creek alone since I was 16. It's a legal gray area. My aunt is technically my guardian, but she lives 3 states away and sends a check every month to keep the lights on and the fridge full. She doesn't care what I do, as long as I don't burn the place down. My parents died in a car wreck when I was 15. It was quick, messy, and left me with a 4-bedroom Victorian house in the middle of nowhere and a hefty life insurance payout that sits in a trust. For 3 years, the silence was my roommate. I got used to the settling groans of the floorboards. I got used to the wind whistling through the loose window sash in the master bedroom. I liked the isolation. It felt like a heavy blanket I could pull over my head to hide from the rest of the world. But 7 days ago, the silence broke. It started on a Tuesday. I was in the living room, gaming with a headset on. It was around 6 p.m. Through the noise-canceling foam, I felt a vibration in the floor. Heavy steps, rhythmic. Thump, thump, thump. It was the specific cadence of my father's walk. He had a bad knee, so his left foot always landed heavier than his right. I froze, ripping the headset off. Silence, just the hum of the refrigerator. "Hello?" I called out. My voice cracked. I grabbed a baseball bat I keep behind the sofa and did a sweep. Front door, locked. Back door, deadbolted. Windows, painted shut. I told myself it was the pipes. Old houses breathe. They expand and contract. I went back to my game. At 6:30 p.m., I smelled it. Pot roast. My mom used to make pot roast every Tuesday. It was her "I'm tired and this goes in the slow cooker" meal. The smell was faint, wafting from the kitchen. It smelled savory, salty, but slightly off, like meat that had been left in the sun, masked by heavy perfume. I walked into the kitchen. The oven was cold. The slow cooker was in the cupboard gathering dust. The smell was overpowering here, hanging in the air like a physical fog. Then I heard the sound that made my blood turn to ice. From the dining room, I heard the clink of silverware against china. Clink, scrape, clink. I slowly peered around the doorframe. The dining room was empty. The table was bare wood, but the sound was coming from the head of the table, my dad's spot. It was loud, distinct, and aggressive, the sound of a knife sawing through tough meat. Scrape, scrape, saw. I backed away. I ran upstairs, locked my bedroom door, and didn't come out until the sun came up. Update 2. The mimicry. By Thursday, the schedule was set. 7 a.m., I hear the shower running in the master bathroom. When I check, the tub is bone dry, but the room is humid and the mirror is steamed up. 6 p.m., the smell of dinner. Sometimes it's roast, sometimes it's burnt toast, sometimes it smells like hot iron and bleach. The silverware sounds immediately after. 9 p.m., the TV in the den turns on. The TV incident is when I knew this wasn't a ghost. Ghosts are echolocations of the past, right? Replays? I went down on Thursday night at 9:05 p.m. The den is down the hall from the kitchen. I could hear the distinct murmur of a news anchor. I recognized the voice. It was the local 10 o'clock news guy. I walked into the den. The TV was unplugged. The screen was black. But the sound was coming from the sofa, not from the TV, from the empty cushion of the beige love seat that my mom used to sit on. I stood in the doorway, trembling. The voice was emanating from the fabric itself, muffled, as if someone was speaking with their mouth pressed against the cushion.
Temperatures dropping to the low 40s tonight, with a chance of precipitation. Then a second voice joined in. It sounded like my mom, but synthesized, choppy, like someone had cut words from 1,000 different recordings and pasted them together. "Did you check the mail, John?" The voice coming from the sofa paused. Then a deep, guttural sound that was trying to be my father replied, "Bills, just bills." I couldn't breathe. I stepped backward, and a floorboard creaked. Instantly, the voices stopped. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was attentive. The air in the room shifted. You know that feeling when you look at a spider and it suddenly stops moving because it knows you see it? The room felt like that. Then, the cushion on the love seat depressed. Slowly, as if an invisible weight was shifting, the foam sank down. A perfect imprint of a seated person formed in the fabric. I ran. I didn't stop running until I was in my car. I drove to a motel and stayed there for 2 nights. Update 3. The Return. I came back yesterday morning. I had to. I don't have enough money for a long-term hotel stay, and I felt stupid in the daylight. In the sun, with birds chirping, it felt like a hallucination. Carbon monoxide, maybe? I bought 3 detectors on the way home. I installed them. They all read 0. I spent the day cleaning. I tried to reclaim the space. I played loud music, opened the windows, scrubbed the floors. I convinced myself I was alone. Then night fell. At 6 p.m., I was in the kitchen making a sandwich. I was determined to ignore it. Clink, scrape. It was louder this time, violent. Slam! The sound of a fist hitting the dining table echoed through the house. I dropped my knife. "Where is he?" The voice was my father's, but it was distorted, deeper, vibrating in the floorboards. "He is upstairs," the mother voice replied. It wasn't coming from the dining room. It was coming from the ceiling vent above my head. "He is not eating. He is a bad boy." I grabbed my keys. I was done. I was leaving for good. I turned to run out the back door, but the deadbolt wouldn't turn. It was jammed. I wrestled with it, panic rising in my throat. Then I heard the footsteps. They weren't the rhythmic thump, thump of my father anymore. It sounded like wet slaps. Slap, drag, slap, drag. And there were too many of them. It sounded like something with 6 legs scrambling across the hardwood floor of the dining room, heading toward the kitchen. I abandoned the door. I bolted for the stairs. As I rounded the corner, I looked back. The dining room is connected to the kitchen by an open archway. Standing in the archway was something. It looked like my father if you drew him from memory and then melted the drawing. The height was right, the flannel shirt was right, but the texture was wrong. His skin looked like smooth gray clay. He had no eyes, just shallow indentations, and his jaw hung down to the center of his chest, swinging loosely like a broken gate. It wasn't a ghost. It was something biological trying to wear the shape of a man. It raised a hand. The fingers were fused together into a fleshy paddle. "Son," it gurgled. The sound didn't come from the mouth. It came from the stomach, wet and bubbling. I scrambled up the stairs on all fours. I heard the slap-drag sound speed up behind me. It was fast, unnaturally fast. I made it to my room and slammed the door. I locked it. I pushed my dresser in front of it. Update 4. The bedroom door. That was last night. I haven't left my room in 14 hours. For the first 3 hours, it banged on the door. Not a knock, a rhythmic pounding. Bang, bang, bang. Then the mother started. She or it was right outside the wood. "Honey, are you sick? I made soup." Her voice is getting better, less choppy. It's learning. "Open the door, honey. Dad is sorry he yelled. We just want to have dinner as a family." I sat in the corner, clutching the baseball bat, texting everyone I knew. No one answered. It was 3 a.m. Finally, I called the police. I whispered into the phone.
"There's someone in my house." "Where are you?" the dispatcher asked. "Bedroom, second floor. They're outside the door." "Stay on the line." I waited. The voices outside stopped when I started talking to the police. The thing was listening. When the sirens approached, I heard the slap-drag sound retreat rapidly down the hall. I heard the attic door, the pull-down ladder in the hallway ceiling, creak open and slam shut. The police broke the front door down. I came out screaming. They searched the house, empty. They searched the attic, empty. But they found the handprint, a gray, oily smear on the attic hatch. They took a sample. They said it looked like grease. They left an hour ago. They think a squatter broke in, got scared, and ran. They promised to increase patrols, but I know they didn't run. I'm sitting on my bed now. The sun is going down. It's 5:45.